place.
Hmm.
Man, how about that Emmys? I don't know.
You know,
Just get over this.
I have to tell you, Jimmy Kimmel really is. He is the guy. He's the only guy now that can do those shows.
He said, what did he say? In the reality TV show, previous losers of this category have gone on to be president of the United States. Isn't that what he said?
Now, see, now that was uncalled for. That's where I turned it off.
That's where you thought he just stepped over the line.
I don't want a political show, obviously.
Well, I don't play politics. I don't play politics and shit like that. I just don't do that.
Right.
Let's see. Sharing to my feed and tagging you. Booyah. There it goes. Should be coming at you. Let me see what we're doing over here on the other streams. As we are also live on the YouTube and on the Periscope. Everywhere shit is served. Oh, look at this. We've already got kind of retweets on this. Thank you very much, Eric Kasnia from Wisconsin. Eric Kasnia lives in one of the WOW counties.
Does he wear a cheese thing on his head while he's listening? Because they wear those.
They do nonstop.
So when they televise a game from Lambeau Field, do they have the fake fans wearing cheese heads?
They can't get the thing right. I think they've limited the decibels, like when they're supposed to pipe up loud noise and shit like that. I guess like 70 decibels or something like that. But they never can seem to get it right in the games that I've seen anyway.
Yeah, but the NBA games really, they're still great to watch. But when somebody cans an impossible 3-pointer or they get fouled while shooting a 3, and the fans would normally go nuts, they turn it up about 5% more, and you don't really. It's really nothing.
It's not the same. I was listening. They were talking about how somebody's playing. Maybe Dallas is playing in Seattle this week. Oh, they got a tough game, and there's no home field advantage.
Yeah, there is none.
There's none. Like in Kansas City, where it used to be just so loud, or New Orleans, or in Seattle. I'm sorry, it's not the same. So you don't have that. Did you see it pop up in your feed? That's what she said.
I'm just getting to it right now.
Yeah.
It should be there, and we'll check in 5, 4, 3. See, I prefer to check this on the slowest of all of my devices. That way, it's the most cumbersome, and
it's a good strategy. I think it's a solid strategy. I think most of your experts would tell you that's exactly what you should be doing.
Right. Okay. All right. We're ready.
Ready when you are, man. Right at 1:30. Look at us.
You're garble. You're intermittently garbling to me.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but we went dark for just a second. Is it any better now?
Well, it is till it isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I accept the outcome of the election until I don't.
Until I find out that it's not good. And he's essentially saying the same thing that he said in 2016. Of course, he wasn't president of the United States then.
Yes, I forgot. Everything he does is we're not surprised. So therefore,
it's the regular asshole stuff that he does. Right. John Wayne Gacy killed another person. Well, I'm not surprised. He's killed a lot of people.
Yeah. I want to start with this Lindsey Graham begging for money.
That'll be fine.
I think I got the clip.
No, you lay off him.
That's what she said. All right. It is the Brad and Britt cast. Thank you for being part of it once again. Our thanks on the previous Brad and Britt cast to Andrew Broad, who, by the way, for 12 hours, when I posted it, I got auto-corrected. It was spelled B-R-O-A-D, Broad. And I didn't notice it. I hate that. Don't you hate that?
It sucks, but he was tremendous and getting a lot of great feedback about the time we spent with him on the previous Brad broadcast.
Right. His name is spelled B-R-O-D.
Yeah. No way.
Let's start off with a little audio here from Lindsey Graham. Now, you know the drill. When things get rough, when times are tough, when you're down and out and you need a helping hand, you've got a friend at Fox. So you go on Fox and you whine and you complain. If you're Trump and you've had a bad news day, you can bet that he'll be on Fox and Friends the next morning, right? We've seen that 100 times. Yep. So Lindsey Graham is in a very, very tight race with Jamie Harrison in South Carolina. He's fighting for his life. He's fighting for his life. And I think the latest polls are 48-48. And in my book, that's a tie.
That's a tie.
That is. And I think that the conventional wisdom is that the late breaking votes very often go to the challenger. They go because people are holding back, and finally, I mean, that's happened a lot. That's not law. That's not a rule. So here's Lindsey going on Fox, and get out your checkbooks, folks. Get your credit cards out. Get your Venmo. Get your PayPal. Get your Square. Get your Ready. Here he comes. Here's Lindsey.
My opponent will raise almost $100 million, Ainsley, in the state of South Carolina. The most money ever spent in the history of the state on a Senate race was by me in 2014 when I spent $13 million. He raised $6 million from the time Justice Ginsburg passed away within 72 hours. And God bless Justice Ginsburg. We're celebrating her life. I appreciate waiting to Saturday to announce the replacement, but I'm being killed financially. This money is because they hate my guts.
You like that?
I like the idea that they're showing tremendous discipline by waiting 8 entire days before announcing the replacement. Wow, how incredibly appropriate. I do like that too. That's the little cherry on top of the shit sundae there for Lindsey Graham.
But think about it. What happened? She died Friday night, right?
She did. Yeah, that's when they announced it. Yeah,
right. Friday night, and without a thought, a lot of people said, wow, I see what's about to happen. And the Democrats raised a ton of money all across the country. Jamie Harrison in South Carolina was number 7 on that hit parade of most money raised that weekend with $6 or $7 million. So that means if he was only in 6th or 7th place, who knows who was it? Cal Cunningham might have been ahead of him. There are a lot of other people that are what's his name, Mark Kelly in Arizona.
I don't know if people think that the Amy McGrath race in Kentucky is a lost cause, but I would think she would be on the one of the top lists people would want to give money to.
Oh, she's got way more money than McConnell, and again, she's way behind in the polls. But who knows?
You have no idea.
I wouldn't count that. I mean, if I were giving money, and actually we are giving some money out, I wouldn't give it to her because, as we've seen in the last 24 hours for various reasons, Kentucky right now seems to be a lost cause.
Well, now that's not exceedingly fair, but you do make a solid point. I'll give you a little bit on that one. I will give you just the smallest amount of leeway on that.
But when Lindsey Graham says, because they hate my guts, okay, don't give yourself that much credit.
And why? Right? Why would they hate your guts?
Right. Well, of course.
Why would they hate your guts?
Right. It's not all about you, but it is all about you because you are fighting against yourself. You're fighting against your own words. Right. You're fighting against whatever supposed integrity medal was pinned on you by Strom Thurmond. Is he in the Strom Thurmond seat?
I don't know if that's his or Fritz Hollings. Because it's either his or Fritz Hollings.
Obviously, it's one or the other.
Yeah, I can't. I always get them mixed up. I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
It doesn't really matter because all the things that he said in the past, and because of what he said about Trump as a candidate in 2016. All of which at the time was totally true, and all of which that was said at the time is actually still true. He's a con man. He's a chaos candidate. He's the worst human being possibly to ever be born, except for And by the way, we can say this. We can't put it on a Facebook post or we get suspended. He is our Hitler now. I repealed Godwin's law how many years ago?
10 at least.
2 years, at least 10. But
it's been a while.
But with Trump, it's completely been repealed. Godwin's law, of course, is any online conversation that veers off into comparisons to Adolf Hitler is by definition off the rails and should be ceased immediately. And that was and by the way, Godwin's law is about as official a law as Biden's rule, the McConnell rule, and all these other rules. They don't really exist.
Godwin's rule was very helpful when we had message boards. Once social media started creeping into the world, it's no good. And I'll tell you another reason why you're completely right in dismissing Godwin's law. When you are out there supporting the actual Nazis themselves and excusing their behavior, see Charlottesville, then you are setting, I'm sorry, but you just set yourself up for criticism and you don't deserve the benefit of the doubt on that shit. Sorry, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. So there's Lindsey Graham, not too far away from where we are, a couple 100 miles away, and he's fighting for his political life and trying to navigate what becomes a more difficult road to toe every day when you're trying to appeal to the locals, because you have to decide how close do I continue to stay to Trump. Lindsey Graham can't distance himself from him, and he's tried to play the game a little bit today by coming out along with people like Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney in saying, and remember, when you denounce Trump under these kind of circumstances, you never say his name, right? You never say his name. You talk about the subject. Like Mitch McConnell puts out a tweet saying, well, there will be an election on November 3rd, and we will respect it, blah, 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 blah.
But you never say why you're putting that.
Right, there will be a peaceful transfer of power. That just happened to drop today for no particular reason.
So random. Why would you say such a thing?
So this is the corner. This is the bargain that you struck 4 years ago in going along with Trump. And as you've watched over the years, everyone that touches Trump turns into the plant out in the hallway that eventually turns brown and dies, and you have to throw it out. You're one of those plants, Lindsey, and it's been getting watered all this time, but Trump always turns on everyone eventually. The only people he doesn't turn on are people with the actual last name of Trump who exist because of his spoim, as Strom used to say.
Super spoim.
And I can't think of anybody else that he would not turn on instantly. And by the way, we're not even sure that he won't turn on Eric when Eric has to testify in New York in 2 weeks. Although Eric Trump, I'm sure he will be trained in the art of lying in front of a state panel.
Right.
When he's called at the first week of October to
I never even heard Eric Trump. I don't know Eric Trump. Right. Who is that? I don't even know who that is. Right. That's what's going to happen pretty soon. Just get ready for that.
So anyway, so Trump, we've obviously reached the point where he doesn't care if he has a Republican Senate anymore. And this is the fun part of watching Mitch McConnell try to navigate these waters, because I understand he's the biggest genius ever. He's the master of the Senate of all time. He never makes a mistake. He never loses. Well, you know what? If you flip a coin 300 times and it comes up heads 300 times, on the 301st flip, it just might come up tails. And I think that's what we're going to see with these people that have supported Donald Trump. Several of them are going to lose their seats. It might not be McConnell, but he's going to love being the minority leader again, isn't he? It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to enjoy that, because Susan Collins is dead in Maine.
Kelly Loeffler doesn't look all great.
My God, she's just a disaster, or as Trump would like to say, a total mess.
We just talked about Lindsey Graham. He might be well packing it up and going back home to Pickens.
Joni Ernst in Iowa. Joni Ernst in Iowa. Tillis in North. They're all on the bubble right now.
Yep. They're all dying.
And unless everything breaks their way here at the end, which again, We don't make predictions here for sure because we could be wrong. And imagine if we were wrong about this, right? It would just be the worst thing in the world.
It would be. Well, but you said you alluded to it previously. The president was asked point blank at a news conference yesterday, win, lose, or draw, sir, are you going to have a peaceful transition of power, as has been the American tradition for more than 2 centuries now? Mm-hmm. And the president just said, we'll have to see. I got to see what happens because we don't know. These ballots go this way and that way. And the Democrats are doing this and that, and they're trying to screw with the mail ballots. And he's already pointed to North Carolina for some reason as people getting 2 ballots in the mail. I don't know what kind of anecdotal bullshit he's working on there. But the president did not necessarily commit to a peaceful transition of power when asked at point blank range. And that's why Mitch McConnell had to make that statement that you pointed out, Brad, that yes, we will have a peaceful transition of power. We'll go through with it and do what we need to do. But again, not alluding as to why he had to make that statement. So do you think the president is going to commit at some point? Now, this is what he did in 2016 as well, by the way. He wasn't president of the United States. And Hillary Clinton remarked that just sounds awful, that he would not necessarily commit to a peaceful transition of power or accept the results of the election. What do you think that accomplishes? Do you think that's something that his followers, that small cadre of folks that are left over, do you think that's something that they continue to love? Brad has gone away. He'll be with us in just a moment. I fall to pieces. How's everybody doing? Let me see. Hello, all of you. We're waiting for Brad to come back into the room. He's left us. I don't know if he had to urinate or what. Something's happening, though. See any good stuff on the Netflix lately? Jump back in. The water's warm. How's my hair? Oh, there he is. I'm going to mute this for a second. All right, we'll just resume from there.
This makes us just like network television now.
Except we are at network quality. So what I was asking, this is exactly the same thing that Trump did back in 2016 when he was not president. At some point in time, and Mitch McConnell had to issue that statement that you were just talking about, but for no reason. It was Mitch McConnell just randomly deciding that we were going to have election results and we were going to honor them. So what purpose does the statement like that serve from the president, this small cadre of people that still support him? Do they love it when he says shit like that or what?
I don't know. I don't think this is a question of him worrying about getting votes and winning the election anymore. I think that, and if you've seen Barton Gellman of The Atlantic, the writer, or you've read his article, or you've read articles about his article that is out in the last day, where he really goes through all of the machinations that the Republican Party is doing right now, all the plans they have in place to try to fuck up this election at every stop. And the kingpin of them all is Trump, speaking day after day, lying about mail-in votes as being absolutely unreliable. They shouldn't even be counted. I mean, he went that far on Wednesday. They shouldn't even be counted. Oh, really? Okay. So we'll just we'll do exactly what he says because he's the dictator. And they have teams of lawyers all over the country. They're going to send out roving bands of thugs, and you're seeing that at these protests around the country in the wake of the Breonna Taylor non-decision to prosecute yesterday. It's amazing how often you see groups of white people with guns at these protests. What are they doing? What are they doing? And I guess they're making sure that black people with guns don't exercise their Second Amendment rights, because, as you know, the Second Amendment does only apply to white people.
Yeah, maybe we'll get that decision when the next Supreme Court nominee is actually confirmed. Maybe they will get that decision.
Right, but the piece goes through all of the activities that they're engaging in right now, the classic voter suppression tactics, the fact that a couple of years ago the Supreme Court took its foot off the pedal of the consent decree so that classically Southern and Confederate racist states could go back to the same kind of tactics that were used, from Reconstruction on to intimidate voters, and black voters in particular, from voting. I mean, if you see 30 guys standing there armed outside your polling place under the guise of, we're just trying to protect the integrity of the vote, well, that's by definition voter harassment. But the Supreme Court, and John Roberts, by the way, not his best decision, was the one who said, well, it's been, 40 years of this, and it looks like everything's cool now. Everything's cool. So it's the old, the doctor tells you to take the medicine. You take the medicine for 6 months, and it works really, really well. And you tell the doctor, and the doctor says, well, you better keep taking it. And you say, I don't need to take it anymore. I'm better.
I'm well.
No, this is a chronic condition. You don't stop taking the medicine. And this is the kind of Supreme Court that we've already had. Wait till you add another conservative justice to cement these kinds of decisions in place. And we haven't even gotten to election day yet. And then they have all these schemes, of course, led by Trump, who has laid the predicate of, if we don't have a decision by 11 o'clock Eastern time on the 3rd of November, then obviously the results are fixed. And any votes that are being counted, mail-in votes that come in after that, are illegal, probably sent by the Russians. And this year, this time around, it looks like signature verification and witness verification of mail-in ballots. That's the new hanging chad for 2020. Because particularly like on the North Carolina mail-in ballot, and we're not talking about throwing out half the votes, but remember, the Republican plan is to shave off on the margins enough votes they think that they can win this. I don't think it's going to work, but in North Carolina, for instance, you have to have somebody sign your mail-in ballot that says they were the witness to you doing it, and they witnessed you signing your own ballot. In my case, I was my wife's witness, and she was my witness.
I personally know someone whose ex-wife was the witness to the ballot.
It just doesn't matter. It just has
whoever you got,
witness. Right? And they have to put their address and who they are. And some people send their ballot in without the witness, or this is a good one. I love this one. The signature match problem. For instance, in my case, if they have me on record at any time, apparently in my life, from the day I was born till now, signing my name, Brad Krantz, and I were to sign my ballot, Bradley Krantz,
or Bradley R. Krantz or something like that, or Mr. Bradley Krantz.
We can't count that. We can't count that.
Oh God, Florida 2000. Oh,
and then you have to contact the voter, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. And I think that where we are, they do a better job at that. I think the real problem is not going to be so much in North Carolina or even Florida with mail-in ballots, because they start to count so early. They don't wait till the damn day of the election to start counting the hundreds of thousands. In the case of Florida, it's going to be millions of mail-in ballots. We might have a couple million in North Carolina too, based on the early response for people requesting the mail-in ballots. But these states that wait to start counting on election day, and then obviously they won't get a result till a few days after, that's where Trump and the Republicans, they see their opening to and this is what they're doing now. They are sowing doubt as to if you're counting votes after midnight of election day, you're cheating. It's an unfair election. I contest it. I'm not conceding. And I was ahead in some of these states before all the votes were counted. And therefore, I claim victory in state X or state Y. And that's the game. And by the way, since I'm not leaving office, I'm certainly not conceding to Joe Biden. Now we have all these dates that are a month later, 6 weeks later, where the electors in each state have to be chosen, and they're supposed to vote, of course, for the guy who gets the majority of the votes, and that's how the Electoral College works. I think, except in Nebraska and Maine, they do it proportionally based on the congressional districts, but the other 48 states do it that
Winner
way.
takes all.
And the Trump people have come up with this way to try to bypass that and declare that because the count wasn't up to their standards of accuracy, because there was cheating, the electors are not going to be chosen in the traditional way, and they get to bypass the old rules and pick the electors, and therefore a state that Joe Biden had gotten more votes in may end up casting its electoral votes for Donald Trump, who will remain as president of the United States. That's what they're up to. That's what they are doing right now. Good news is the Democrats have plenty of lawyers too. They're not the only ones with lawyers. And I don't think that history will repeat itself exactly. We're not going to have exactly what happened in 2000. We're not going to have a stop the vote counting decision in the Supreme Court 5-4 exactly as it was, because history doesn't repeat itself identically.
No, but it does rhyme.
Something could come up.
There's a lot of stuff that happened in 2000 people have forgotten about. For example, Republican congressional staffers storming boards of election and screaming to stop the vote and stuff like that. They've proven that over the years. They've been able to identify a lot of those heritage foundations, young kids who were punk asses that were going down there and acting like they were. That's astroturfing, by the way. That's the stuff that they accuse liberals of doing. That's the kind of bullshit. And that sort of thing happened pretty frequently back in 2000. But God, yes, let's hope that there's nothing like what happened in 2000. Although the president, I was just looking for this tweet, did say that he felt like the Supreme Court should declare the winner of the election every time. I believe he has put that tweet out there in the past 24 hours. Yeah.
The Supreme Court should decide every time?
Yeah, I think that's what he said. He says North Carolina's looking good. Florida's looking good. He's got prayers for the police officers. Yeah, it's a real tweet that he put out. And I saw the Mitch McConnell tweet too, trying to dispel what he was saying yesterday. So yeah, he's in favor of the Supreme Court calling the election. So there you go.
I'm in favor of the voters deciding the election, but then I'm a radical. I'm crazy.
That is nuts.
I'm not, of course, that's not even worth discussing. It's so crazy. What is crazy is that, and I would assume, and again, I'm in theoretical world, that when there's a Supreme Court nominee put up in a week or so, and they're testifying, and they are directly asked the question, will you recuse yourself from any decision about the upcoming presidential election because you have just been nominated by a president who said the reason he is nominating you is that so he can get a favorable majority in the Supreme Court. That by definition should obligate you to recuse yourself. Do you agree with that? Now, the person will say, no, I don't agree with that. But of course, that will be a fair and accurate depiction of what we have right now. Because like everything else, Trump's corruption and lying are not behind the scenes. They're right out front. He's challenging you to stop him. He's challenging America and Democrats, and if there are any Republicans of conscience, to say this can't stand. You can't appoint someone to supposedly break what could be a tie and declare ahead of time that the reason you want 9 justices is so that you get a 5-4 decision. I mean, does LeBron James get to add 2 referees in Game 7 so that the 3 become 5, but the last 2 he gets to appoint them so that he gets all the calls? Is that a fair thing for him to do?
Sure. That's what's wrong with that? What could be wrong with that? I don't understand.
Nothing is wrong with it.
What's your objection?
Yes, I understand. You want 7 refs, right? You want him to be able to appoint 4 referees.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? I don't understand. I was just reading the article that you were just referring to a little bit by Barton Gelman in the Atlantic, and I think the title of the piece is the election that could break America. I put a link to it on the stuff that we're streaming now, and I'll put it also in the podcast. It's a frightening scenario, but it's also a realistic scenario and something that we should all be aware of. The president and the first lady paid their respects to the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Brad, as the former Supreme Court justice, the late Supreme Court justice, is laying, of course, in repose at state at the Capitol, just outside the Supreme Court, rather. And he was roundly booed with chants of vote him out, vote him out. I'm sure this is going to be portrayed, as I'm seeing now on Fox News, as awful liberals trying to stop a good man from just paying his respects, Brad. But I can't think of any way that would be more appropriate to honor the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg than to do exactly what those people did when they saw Donald Trump today.
Not a good day.
Now you're back.
Not a good day.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, you sound like you're gargling paint. But
I love gargling paint. It's one of my favorite things. What I was saying was, I can't imagine that there would be a better way to honor the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg than to do exactly what those protesters did and said to Donald Trump.
Speak again.
Okay. I said I can't imagine that there would be any better way to honor the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg than to do exactly what those protesters.
Horrible.
Still sounds bad. Okay. Well, we can try to reconnect.
I think we need to retire today. I can't listen to this.
We gave it a shot. We tried, people.
We apologize.
Some days are like that.
Technical gods were not in our favor today.
Mama said there'd be days like this.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back on Monday.
See you guys.
Yep. Of course, as soon as we say that, it clears.